Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.
Hey guys, my third video is coming up. It's on landlocked kings, a style of fishing that I created a couple years ago. If you missed my first one, it was on when a lake turns over, because it's very important when you're chasing these kings that the lake has to turn over so the bait fish rise and the kings rise up with them. Otherwise they're too deep and you can't catch them. It's very hard. My second video is about how to go after and catch these landlocked kings. So don't miss those. You could always look back at them. The third one's going to be on how to cure your bait. I show you how to put the Gitzit on correctly, how you tie it on. It has to go on a certain way so when you're fishing it, the Gitzit actually sits horizontal in the water. And then on my fourth video, I'm going to show you how to find them. I show you how to graft them, and I show you how to dead stick your lure and catch these landlocked kings. So when you watch my channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. And if you leave a comment, I'll get back with you real shortly. Usually within a few days I answer your comments. Also on the bottom of the right hand corner, very important, there's a little arrow over there. You touch it and then another description box opens, and you have to hit the more. After you read it, hit the more, and then it opens up and it shows you all the links of all the equipment that I'm using. And then you could just click it. It'll take you right to the Fisherman's Warehouse where you can purchase it. And then when you purchase that, you're also helping my channel. So you're helping me out so we can get this thing going. Thank you for watching. Here I'm going to show you how to cure your anchovies or herring. So this is probably the most important. You need to make sure you get the rock salt. So you can use ice cream one or whatever, but it needs to be rock salt so it's more coarse. And I just take a little paper plate like this and make sure I put enough rock salt on the bottom to just make sure it covers the whole bottom of the plate. And usually like when I'm like 2 or 3 people going fishing, your anchovy or herring, probably 6 of them will be very adequate. So basically what I'm doing is I take the bait and I kind of semi-thaw it out. Just kind of like take the scales off a little bit. And then I'm going to fillet it. So right behind the head, cut down. And then I have a fillet like this. Then I'm going to lay it on the rock salt with the meat down. So the meat's laying on the rock salt. I take the other side. Fillet it. And I lay it on the rock. And what happens is I'm going to put it in the refrigerator overnight, and when I get up in the morning, what happens is the rock salt draws all the moisture out of the fish. So then it's a little bit tougher, because if you don't do this, then when the fish taps on the bait, it'll fall off. So I'm just taking it, laying it down. So I'm doing this the night before, so I'm probably letting it sit on the rocks for about maybe 8 to 12 hours. So basically I use either anchovies or herring. And I use tray bait because when they process tray bait, they lay them flat so they're all straight, perfectly straight. So I prefer to use it, and I'll use the biggest ones I could get. So they usually call them red label being the smallest, green label, and blue label being the largest. So most of the time I'll try to get the largest ones I can. So then after get them all dried and ready to fillet them, that they're not real small. So what I'm doing is you have to create a strip about maybe a 1/4 inch wide and maybe about 1.5 to 2 inches long. And so it's whether I take this bait and cut it like this, and And when they're dry in the morning, after they've been in the refrigerator for 12 hours, I just cut it with a scissors. And I cut like this, so I have little strips. If it's too narrow, then obviously I cut it down the middle and then cut it like this, so I'll get minimum of 6 pieces. Sometimes I'll get 10 or 12. But after leaving it in on the rock salt in the morning, you're gonna pick it up and it's gonna be pretty tough, so that when the fish bite it, it doesn't fall off your hook. It stays on. If you didn't cure it, when you got a bite, you would get a tap tap and then it would be gone. Your bait would just fall off the hook. So I've learned in the past, when I'm using this Gitzit type fishing out in the ocean or in the river that I've used it on, now I'm doing it in the lakes. But if you don't have bait on the hook, they won't bite it. So we tried putting sin on it, it don't work as well. Something about a real piece of meat on there, or you're gonna get a bite. A lot of times if you don't cure it correctly, the fish will come up and tap on it and take the bait off and they won't bite it no more. So when I'm doing this, these things, when you start thawing them out, they're real soft. So if you don't use a really sharp knife, you're gonna destroy the baits. So I like to use these Dexters. I use them for filleting crappie. You've seen it in other shows, but it has a flexible blade and it does an excellent job on these. So basically you gotta have a sharp, thin knife when you're filleting these little anchovies. And actually on the knife, I prefer the longer blade than the shorter blade, so I could get it down and it's more flexible. Obviously it's longer. Works great. Okay, we got the bait all cured. As you can see when you look at it, it's what the rock salt does, it takes all the moisture out of the bait. So when you hook it onto your hook, it's kind of like toughens it up. So basically I'm going to cut them into strips. I cut like that, and I want pieces about yay long. Hey guys, I'm going to show you a little trick with this Gitzit. Real important, when you use these, you use a darter head, and you're going to see that the eye is probably like quite a ways past the center of the tip here. You want it, just get a darter head and you'll see the eye. If you use a round ball or something, the eye is too close to the top and the lure will sit, it won't sit horizontal. So basically you want one that a darter head where the eye comes out about right there in the head. You're gonna wet it a little. You're gonna take that little Gitzit and I push it in until the bend of the hook right here is where it cuts. So you want it right there, and then I poke the eye through. So you pull it down like this, because when you get that thing tied on, you want it sitting horizontal in the water. You don't want it like this, you want it flat. Another trick is when you tie this on, you don't use a swivel. I take it and I use a trilene double because I'm using 8-pound test. So I go through twice. And see this loop? I hold it. And then I twist it 3 times. And then I go through the loops. And then back to the one I just made. Kind of hard to see. Like that. And then I cinch it. And the trick to this is when you cinch it, is you pull it straight. So it sits like this in the water column when you're sitting there just dead sticking it. And dead sticking it means that when I put it out, I don't jig it or nothing. I just put it like that. It'll sit horizontal in the water like this. If you put a swivel on it, it has a tendency to tilt up like this. So you want to hard tie it and then make sure that knot's coming straight up like this. You always want to put it on top of the bait when you graft the bait, because the salmon will always come up and eat it going up. So when they hit it going up like this, you'll see the initial tap on your rod and the line's going to go slack. So you either have to wait, and sometimes they're pseudocidal where they just pull and your rod will just double up. But a lot of times I've been out here when they hit it, go up, and then they spit it back out. So usually when it taps, I'll pick it up and start reeling a little bit. And as soon as I feel the weight, I set it. You saw how I cured the bait and then cut it up in small pieces. And then basically I take a piece like this, take the hook, and I go through, see how it's pointed on one side? I put it on the fat side, and I go in about maybe 1/8 of an inch, put it in the center, and pull it. So it sits just like this when it's in the water. No bait, no fish. I put it in the refrigerator the night before I go. You know, I demonstrated that earlier, and then this bait will usually last a week. So you take it out here, you can take it home, put it back in the refrigerator, and it's good for over a week. Tough day today, but managed to scrap up a couple and lost a few, but got a couple anyway.
Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.